Testing, testing, testing. Another night session at Wickerson Studios. Very simple script, and I'll show you exactly what we're doing again. There are some parameters on here that I haven't gotten around to kind of fine-tuning, but basically we'll jump into here. Let me clean this up a little bit for you. I got on rotation, a very simple generated ring. You'll see there's kind of irregularities about it. There's this interesting cone in here, which doesn't need to be here. Didn't notice I put that in there. Let me fix this one up. So it's kind of cool. So let's go back into shaded and show you what's going on. Get this kind of centered and ready. I guess we're upside down and backwards. What it is a base script of creating an Iron Python script. Not too hard. Importing Rhino, you don't need script index context because I use the Rhino command again for active window, and I'm generating a plane with a height hard-coded and radius. So when you run that, you get a cone. That's basically the script that comes off of Rhino Common, Rhino Developer. Pretty simple. What you can do is you can take that and slide over here, and I'm just going to take these little bit of, I think I'm just going to tuck that away. Actually, I'll just get rid of that. We know it's an Iron Python script. Let me just pull these three parameters up into here because they're pretty parametric. I'm using these three sliders to go pretty consistently into the data streams. And we will make them a little blob, and we'll turn them a little bit of yellow so they can become something that you can play with. And you can see they're pretty interesting sliders, very limited decimals, and you'll see why I do that afterwards. A little jumbly here, but you've got 2 points. One is just the XYZ point at 0. I'm creating a plane, I'm throwing it through an angle, and I'm able to do some rotations on that. And as I do rotations on that cylinder, you can see what happens to the data. I can shrink it, I can make it larger, I can do a rotation. They're being baked as we go. You can clear them out, you can take them back and have fun with them in this kind of way. Make some cool geometries. I think I'm just going to set that one big at 20. We're wrapping up my 11-year-old's birthday. Make this big and throw it through a loop like that. And that's basically what I'm going to do. And I'm going to try and move it kind of fast and staggered, and then back kind of quick, and then again through it. Basically just trying to get this awkward, strange pattern just from generating in Python. And that should make for something pretty interesting. I wish I had one that was right here, but I think we'll just deal with it, let it be open. So there's a pretty cool geometry you've made using a very simple Python script of generating a cone. You've got the ghosted form that's in here. If I take this divisibility off, you can see basically, that's what's been ghosted. And if I do any of these parameters, I'm going to bake in more geometries as we go. Not only are we running the Iron Python runtime function out of there from the code that's above and putting it to the active and adding a brep and redrawing it, I also go down to the bottom and just take the basic script. Cone is Rhino geometry, create cone at a plane, height, and radius. So you can actually just build a very simple Python thing that mimics this cone function. I mean, you can basically go in and do the same thing there. But it won't run. You won't be able to run it similar to this. It won't do the same things as a Python node. So what I do is I have that little visibility. Let's bring it back out. There's our middle form. Let's take this little sphere here, but before we bring that sphere in and bake it, let's take this object and just throw it through a Boolean union. And with any luck, there won't be any conflicts with it. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but there we go, Boolean union in process, and I believe we have a really good, at least I thought we did, one poly surface. Strange that stayed separate. Boolean union, let's try it again. And objects do not intersect, nothing done. I guess I do need that little tiny bit to come in here and join. So I'm going to have to just run it through one more time, and it's basically back on this section. There we go, I got that. I have that, and I can pick and choose ones that I want to take out of here. That poly surface, since I generated many, I'm just editing out ones that I don't want. Let's see if this one can throw through and do a little Boolean union. We got an exciting evening here as the kids still make a lot of noise, and I think that's going to mesh nicely. A little bit of time, and there we go. We produce one mesh. And that's a very nice mesh. Right now it's solid. You can actually do a shell function on it or whatever. But I've got it done, and now I'm just going to grab this little radius, which is still parametric, this circle. I'm just going to do a little quick bake in there, because I'm actually using Python and Grasshopper to go back. And then I'm going to leave that script. I'm pretty much done with Grasshopper. Let me take a look at that script. That's what it was, creating a cone. I thought this was just a nice little script to play around with and build some geometry and have some creative designs. And I will grab a Boolean difference at this time, which is pretty easy. My boys just don't like to be quiet. And I'm going to try and hit that circle for minusing, and there we go. Got a pretty cool little ring. Take a look at it. Nice and simple. And what's nice, you can still add to it. You could go around and at this point, which might be fun, and you've already got this into some pretty cool displays. Let's take a look at a technical. Let's take a look at a pen. Let's take a look at the artistic. I just think that's kind of a nice system for getting around and generating some cool things using very basic Rhino tools that you know, but using Python to have a randomness and kind of a chaotic nature to how you make things. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to jump in here. I'm going to edit my snaps and take this. I believe it's the radius. I better check that. That's the angle. The radius is tied to the circle. No, that's the circle. The radius on the cone is coming over to here to 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click in here and move that right down to about 3 and generate it. Now we have a small cone. I'm going to throw that one through and see if we get lucky through a rotation. And I don't know if we're going to on that one. I'm not going to get all the way around 2 pi as we try and get that one around to at least fill in all the details. You see what I'm trying to do here as I slide through is that they have a negative, so they're not going to union. So what you'd have to do here is pull it into a double decimal place. So you end up writing these little machines that actually work, and now we can bring them all together like that, which I think is interesting. But I also want my height. I'm not happy with what I did there. I also want my height to be just a tad longer. So I'm going to pull up that slider to 23, haul it up to here, and you'll see that it's popping out the end now in a pretty interesting fashion. And as I run that one around, all the way through all those sliders, I may be getting a nice Boolean union. I'm actually just sculpting with geometry. So you can see that becoming more and more intricate as it goes. And what I want to do with that is just grab my other ring, throw that a little bit into hiding, and then I have this other device here, and I'll see if I get lucky with that, because I'm just playing with this, basically grabbing this. I'm going to see if I can get a Boolean union out of that, and you never know, because it starts to get angry at me when I try to do too much. And 106 and Boolean union failed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into that, grab that rotation through here, see if I can't try it again. Gets a little too complex, and I'm just going to bring it back here. Oh, missed one. There we go. And we'll see if we get it that time. So let's grab this one, do a return command on the Boolean union, and fail. Succeed. Wonderbar. Yes, it worked. So I can go back in, I can grab this sphere, I can take a look at that one, which is a little too big because my radius is up where it was. And what I have to do here is just bring this radius back down to where it was. So you're literally sculpting with your parameters in your what would be in your Python. I'm going to grab that little bake there, and I could have done this all at once, but I thought to do it afterwards. So I'm literally just playing around making things. Let's just do a quick bake there. Grab this item and do our Boolean difference. Take that object and minus this object from it. Let's see if we get lucky. And with any luck, that will work. Oop, that should have worked. Okay, let me leave that again. Let me grab this one, do a Boolean. Oh, I know, I shouldn't have it selected first, I don't think. So let's do a Boolean difference. Well, like I said, I never really did much in Rhino before I got into Grasshopper, and I don't mind that. And then let's go in and grab this one, See if we can get the subtract. We did, but we ended up with a strange thing here that just wants to be a little bit of a monster. So let me get rid of that. It's funny that that one stuck around. So now I have this strange object that's Boolean. Pretty cool little device. I have my other object that was in there. And at this point, I'm going to play around with another Boolean difference. Pretty basic stuff, like the stuff that I usually don't like doing in Grasshopper because it slows down my script a little too much. Let's grab this one and minus this one and see if we can't just cut that one out of here. It may be difficult to do because it touched the surface, but it didn't. It created a pretty cool little device here. And what it does is it just has nothing to join it. But you could think with this to print these with a little bit of struts and supports and then have them cut out afterwards. And if you could fill this with a resin or something like that in here, it could be very nice. But what a wonderful little tool. And I'm totally spontaneous. I did not do this before I came here, but I'm using this very basic Python script that couldn't be easier to create a cone, and literally using a cone script. But Python gives you that ability to bake that in as you go, and it's a way that I've never thought to sculpt. So I hope some other people take interest in this because it's just tapped into a very creative thing for me. And this is really what it's about, bringing this kind of technology into the visual arts schools and allowing people to have some fun with it and see what's going on. I'm going to just grab that form. I'm going to throw it into all four again. And I'm going to do a little surface analysis, maybe a curve analysis. Which curvature analysis? Oh, that's pretty ugly. Let's try a curve. Let's try a surface draft angle. Still pretty ugly. Better just stay safe with an environmental map and see what we like. And there you go. You've got a pretty wild little piece of jewelry that could be generated as a ring. Anything. It's pretty simple, but it's using the power of Python to generate things in a very unique and creative new way. And I don't do jewelry. I don't make a lot of it, but I do have a mind for casting, and I think of different metals and wonderful things you can do. Let me just zoom select all on that. And I'm ready to take that as a closed watertight mesh and send it to print with a little bit of support to try and get some metal into it and create a pretty cool form. That is extremely quick, extremely spontaneous, and possible to make. So thanks very much for watching. Wickerson Studios, computational art and development.